South Jersey couple is $2,000 richer after unearthing some cash while excavating their front yard. And while $2,000 isn't exactly life-changing, the story behind the discovery.
Tightly rolled 10s and 20s into this thing that looks Taylor pork roll. My wife was in there painting, and I said, "You gotta come see this. You won't believe what I just found."
Home renovations are usually about fresh paint and new fixtures. But what if they led to something more, something extraordinary? Imagine uncovering hidden treasures, like ancient artifacts, long-lost art pieces, or even an unexploded bomb, simply by knocking down a wall. Join us as we delve into real-life stories of jaw-dropping discoveries made during renovation work. Stash of teeth. When a construction crew in Valdosta, Georgia, started renovating the historic TB Converse building, they had no idea they were about to uncover a shocking secret hidden within its walls. As they tore down the drywall, they stumbled upon a stash of human teeth. Not just a few, but hundreds, maybe even thousands of them. Workers were understandably disturbed by this bizarre find. Some even speculated that they had accidentally stumbled upon the lair of a deranged serial killer. But the truth behind the teeth turned out to be far less sinister, though no less intriguing. As it turns out, the TB Converse building's first tenant back in the early 1900s was a dentist named Dr. Clarence Whittington, and apparently, the good doctor had a rather unorthodox method of disposing of the teeth he extracted from his patients. He simply tossed them inside the walls of his office. While modern dentists have strict protocols for disposing of biological waste, back in Dr. Whittington's day, such regulations were far more lax. So, he took advantage of the building's hollow walls to create his own makeshift storage system for the teeth he removed. A tale of two treasures. When an Ohio couple decided to renovate their 1940s home, they had no idea that they were about to stumble upon a mystery that would capture the attention of the entire nation. It all started when they discovered a hidden space within the walls of their house. Curious, they pried it open, and were shocked to find a vintage suitcase stuffed with bundles of cash totaling $45,000. But that wasn't all. Along with the money, they also found a collection of mysterious tapes dating back decades. The tapes were old and worn and had a note with them that said, "Do not." This shocking discovery during a home renovation leads to FBI investigation. Feeling uneasy about their discovery, the couple did the responsible thing and called in the FBI to investigate. And that's when things took an even stranger turn. As it turned out, the tapes contained recordings of unknown origin and purpose, and the FBI was keen to get to the bottom of the mystery. They launched a full-scale investigation, combing through the evidence and trying to piece together the puzzle of the hidden suitcase and its contents. To this day, the full story behind the Ohio couple's discovery remains untold. The FBI has kept a tight lid on the case, revealing little about what they found on the tapes or what the money might have been intended for. The crypt beneath the church. In 1990, workers renovating the basement of a church in New Haven, Connecticut, made a discovery that would send shivers down the spines of even the bravest among them. As they worked to rip up the old flooring, they stumbled upon something that was definitely not in the original blueprints, a hidden crypt containing the remains of over 1,000 individuals. The crypt, it turned out, was a long-forgotten cemetery, with tombstones dating back as far as 1687. The workers, who had been expecting nothing more than some old pipes and maybe a few rats, were suddenly face to face with a veritable city of the dead. As news of the discovery spread, historians and archaeologists from around the region flocked to the church to study the find. What they uncovered was a fascinating glimpse into the past, a chance to learn more about the lives and deaths of some of New Haven's earliest residents. Among the most notable figures buried in the crypt were members of President Rutherford B. Hayes's family, as well as Reverend James Pierpont, one of the founders of Yale University. The tombstones and remains provided a wealth of information about the individuals who had once called New Haven home, from their ages and occupations to the diseases and accidents that had claimed their lives. Mayan murals. In the remote village of Chajul, nestled in the highlands of Guatemala, the Asaqui Ramirez family embarked on a journey of renovation and discovery in 2005. As they began to peel back the layers of their colonial-era home, they had no idea that they were about to uncover a window into the ancient past. As the renovation work progressed, the family started to notice something peculiar, vibrant colors peeking out from beneath the plaster on the kitchen walls. Intrigued, they carefully began to chip away at the layers, revealing something extraordinary. A series of breathtaking Mayan murals, dating back over 3 centuries. The murals, their colors still vivid despite the passage of time, depicted scenes from the conquest dance, an ancient Mayan ritual that had been performed for generations. The figures, adorned in intricate costumes and headdresses, seemed to come alive on the walls, their movements frozen in time. Experts were soon called in to examine the murals, and what they discovered was truly remarkable. The paintings were not only a stunning example of Mayan artistic tradition, but also a rare glimpse into the cultural and spiritual practices of a civilization that had long since vanished. The Issaquih Ramirez family, recognizing the immense historical and cultural value of their discovery, decided to share the murals with the world. In 2007, they reached out to the Guatemalan government, who took the murals under their care and protection, ensuring that they would be preserved for generations to come. The Secret Chapel of Mystery. The old Victorian house in Shropshire, England, had always been a source of intrigue for its Farla family. Its winding corridors and hidden nooks seemed to whisper of secrets waiting to be uncovered. But little did they know that a chance discovery during a house party in 2010 would lead them to an extraordinary revelation. It all began with a mysterious metal grille set into the floor, a feature that had long piqued the family's curiosity. Finally, during the festivities, they decided to investigate. With a sense of anticipation, they raised the grille, revealing a small opening that seemed to lead to unknown depths. Intrigued, a young family member and his uncle decided to explore further. They squeezed through the opening and found themselves in a dark, dusty space, a long-forgotten cellar that seemed to be frozen in time. As they explored the dimly lit chamber, they stumbled upon a remarkable sight, an old wooden cross, standing sentinel in the center of the room. Scattered around were rusty hooks, once used for hanging meat, and faded newspapers from the 1930s, their pages whispering of a bygone era. Word of the discovery soon spread, and experts from far and wide came to examine the mysterious chapel. Theories abound about its origins and purpose. Some speculated that it might have been a secret hideaway for Catholic priests during times of religious persecution, while others suggested it could have been a covert meeting place for a clandestine society. Despite the many theories, the true history of the chapel remains shrouded in mystery. But one thing is certain: the discovery of this hidden sanctuary has captured the imagination of all who have heard its story. A ship out of time. It was just another day on the job for the construction crew working on a new building site in Boston. They were preparing to lay the foundation for a massive 400,000 square foot office complex, digging deep into the earth to create a stable base for the structure. But as they excavated deeper and deeper, they suddenly stumbled upon something entirely unexpected: the remains of a ship buried deep beneath the city streets. The ship, it turned out, was a beautifully preserved 18th century sloop, complete with ornate carvings and intricate detailing. It was an incredible find, a piece of history that had remained hidden for centuries, just waiting to be discovered. As archaeologists and historians descended upon the site to study the ship, they quickly realized just how significant the discovery was. The sloop, it turned out, had likely been built in the late 1700s and had been used to transport goods and passengers along the eastern seaboard. But how had it ended up buried beneath the streets of Boston? The answer, it turned out, lay in the city's ever-changing landscape. Back in the 18th century, much of what is now Boston was actually underwater, a vast expanse of tidal flats and marshland that stretched out into the harbor. As the city grew and expanded, those flats were gradually filled in, creating new land where once there had been only water. The ship, then, had likely been moored at the edge of those flats when it was abandoned or sank, and had been gradually covered over by the rising tides of history. For centuries, it had remained hidden beneath the earth, a time capsule from a bygone era just waiting to be discovered. A letter to Santa. It was just a few days before Christmas in 1943, and a young boy named David Haylock was sitting down to write his annual letter to Santa Claus. Like many children his age, David had a wish list a mile long: toys and games, candy and treats, all the things that would make his holiday season bright. But David did something a little different with his letter that year. Instead of mailing it off to the North Pole, he decided to send it up the chimney of his family's home, hoping that the smoke would carry his message straight to Santa's workshop. Little did David know that his letter would end up taking a far longer and more circuitous route than he ever could have imagined. Fast forward to 2013, and a team of construction workers was busy renovating that very same house. As they tore out the old chimney, they made a stunning discovery. Tucked away inside the brickwork was a small, yellowed envelope, addressed to Santa Claus and dated December 22nd, 1943. Inside was David's letter, perfectly preserved despite the passage of time. The construction crew, amazed by their find, knew they had to track down the letter's original author. After some detective work, they managed to locate David, now a grown man in his 80s, and on Christmas Eve, they presented him with a very special gift, a basket filled with all the items he had asked for in his long-lost letter, from warm slippers to a shiny new pocket knife. the Ming Dynasty mummy. In the bustling city of Taizhou, China, construction workers were going about their usual business in 2011, excavating the ground to pave the way for a new road. Little did they know, they were about to unearth a remarkable piece of history that had lain hidden for centuries. As they dug deeper, they stumbled upon a large wooden box. Curiosity piqued, they carefully opened the lid, only to be greeted by an astonishing sight: the well-preserved remains of a woman from the Ming Dynasty, a ruling period that lasted from 1368 to 1644. The woman, believed to be of high social status, was adorned in an elegant silk robe and intricate jewelry. Her delicate features, including her skin, hair, and even eyelashes, remained incredibly intact, defying the passage of time. It was as if she had been frozen in a moment, waiting to be discovered. Experts from the Museum of Taizhou were called in to examine the mummy, and what they found was nothing short of remarkable. The woman's body had been submerged in a mysterious brown liquid, which had acted as a preservative, keeping her in pristine condition for around 700 years. As word of the discovery spread, it captured the attention of archaeologists and historians worldwide. The mummy provided a rare glimpse into the life and customs of the Ming Dynasty, offering invaluable insights into the period's burial practices, clothing, and social hierarchies. The secret room. Have you ever wondered what secrets might be hiding in the walls of your own home? For Katie and Robin, a couple living in a 1904 semi-detached house in the UK, that question was answered in the most unexpected way. While renovating their home, the couple made a stunning discovery: a secret basement room stretching out beneath their floorboards. The room was vast, spanning the entire length of their double room, and had remained hidden for decades, known only to the house's original owners. Excited by their find, Katie and Robin decided to share pictures of the secret room online, and that's when things really took off. The internet was abuzz with speculation about the room's purpose and origins, with people offering up all sorts of wild theories. Some suggested that the room might have been used as a hideout during World War II, while others speculated that it could have been a secret speakeasy during the Prohibition era. Still, others wondered if the room might have served as a covert meeting place for some kind of secret society. The truth, of course, remains a mystery, but that hasn't stopped Katie and Robin from embracing their home's unique history. They've even started incorporating the secret room into their own renovation plans, dreaming up ways to turn it into a functional and fascinating part of their living space. The ticking time bomb. In 2013 Belgrade, Serbia, construction workers were going about their daily routine, digging and excavating, when they suddenly stumbled upon something that made their blood run cold: a massive unexploded German bomb, dating back to the dark days of World War II. The bomb, weighing in at a staggering 2,200 pounds, was a relic of the devastating aerial bombardment that had rained down on Belgrade during the war. As the workers carefully unearthed the explosive behemoth, they realized they were dealing with a ticking time bomb, quite literally. Experts were immediately called in to assess the situation, and what they discovered was chilling. The bomb contained a jaw-dropping 1,400 pounds of explosives, enough to level an entire city block. The slightest disturbance could set it off, with catastrophic consequences. The authorities wasted no time in evacuating the surrounding area, with over 1,200 residents forced to flee their homes, as the bomb squad worked tirelessly to defuse the explosive. After hours of painstaking work, the experts managed to successfully neutralize the bomb, rendering it harmless. The sense of relief was palpable, as Belgrade residents narrowly avoided a potentially devastating catastrophe: the hidden well of intrigue. Imagine living in a house for over 2 decades, walking over the same spot countless times, never suspecting that a secret lay hidden just beneath your feet. This was the reality for Colin Steer, a 61-year-old resident of Plymouth, England, who discovered a mysterious dip in his living room floor that would lead to an extraordinary revelation. Curious about the strange depression, Colin decided to investigate. Armed with a shovel and a sense of adventure, he began to dig, never imagining the depth of history he was about to uncover. As he excavated deeper and deeper, he soon realized that the dip was not just a simple anomaly, but the entrance to a long-forgotten well. The well, stretching an astonishing 33 feet below Colin's living room, was a relic of a bygone era. Its age-worn walls and mysterious origins immediately captured Colin's imagination, but the surprises didn't end there. As Colin continued to explore the depths of the well, he made another remarkable discovery: an old, rusty sword lying at the bottom of the shaft. The sword, believed to date back to the 16th century, only added to the well's allure and intrigue. Experts soon shed light on the well's fascinating history. It was believed to have been constructed by none other than Sir Francis Drake, the legendary English explorer and privateer who had lived in Plymouth centuries ago. The well, it seemed, was a tangible link to the city's rich maritime heritage and the adventures of one of its most famous residents, the Jacobite secret. Nestled in the picturesque countryside of North Yorkshire, England, lies Nunnington Hall, a stately manor with a history as rich and fascinating as the land it stands upon. But in 2011, a remarkable discovery was made that would shed new light on the hall's mysterious past and the secrets it had held for centuries. During an extensive renovation project, historians and archaeologists uncovered an astonishing treasure trove of over 4,000 historical artifacts, each one a piece of a larger puzzle waiting to be assembled. Among the finds was a small, unassuming notebook, its pages filled with cryptic codes and ciphers. As experts pored over the notebook, they soon realized that it belonged to none other than a Jacobite rebel, a supporter of the exiled Stuart dynasty that had once laid claim to the English throne. The coded entries hinted at a life of intrigue and danger, of secret meetings and covert operations. But the notebook was just the beginning. As the team delved deeper into the hall's hidden corners and forgotten crevices, they uncovered a veritable treasure trove of historical artifacts. Delicate fragments of centuries-old silk dresses, once worn by the ladies of the manor, told stories of elegance and refinement. Wax seals and pen nibs hinted at the correspondence and business dealings of the hall's former occupants. Perhaps most intriguing of all were the seeds found scattered throughout the hall, tiny time capsules that held the potential to unlock the secrets of the manor's botanical history. Each seed represented a piece of the past, a glimpse into the gardens and landscapes that had once surrounded Nunnington Hall. The Bootlegger's legacy. When Nick Drummond and Patrick Baker began renovating their century-old home in Ames, New York, they had no idea they were about to uncover a treasure trove of history hidden within its very walls. As they peeled back layers of decaying wood and crumbling plaster, they stumbled upon something extraordinary. A stash of whiskey bottles dating back to the 1920s, the era of prohibition and bootlegging. The bottles, carefully concealed in the walls and beneath the floorboards, were a tangible link to the home's mysterious past. Rumors had long circulated that the house had once belonged to a notorious bootlegger, but Drummond and Baker had always dismissed them as mere legends. Now, with each bottle they unearthed, the legend became more and more real. But the Ames house wasn't the only one with secrets to reveal. Halfway across the country in St. Joseph, Missouri, Brian, a 40-year-old homeowner, was embarking on a renovation project of his own. As he worked to install a central air conditioning unit in his 1850s-era house, he too discovered a hidden stash of whiskey bottles, these ones dating back to the 1910s. The bottles, bearing labels like Hellman's celebrated Old Crow whiskey and W.H. McBrayer's Cedar Brook whiskey, were a glimpse into a bygone era, a time when whiskey was king and the temperance movement was on the rise. For Brian, a history and bourbon lover, the opening was a dream come true. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In 2013, a couple purchased a charming 1930s home. A year later, while renovating their basement, they stumbled upon a hidden room concealed behind a false wall. The discovery left them stunned. Mysterious barrels filled with an unknown red substance, gleaming silver ingots, a briefcase overflowing with $20 bills, and even a small boat with stains on it. This shocking discovery, during a home renovation, leads to FBI investigation. The authorities quickly connected the property to a notorious gang leader who had been operating from this secret location. But the purpose of the boat and the contents of the barrels remain shrouded in mystery. Have you ever unearthed something fascinating during a renovation? Share your stories in the comments below. The buried treasure of Wildwood. When Rich Gilson began excavating the porch of his 1920s-era home in Wildwood, New Jersey, he had no idea he was about to stumble upon a treasure trove of historic proportions. As he dug deeper and deeper, he noticed something peculiar. Tightly wound wads of old $10 and $20 bills, buried just beneath the surface. At first, Gilson couldn't believe his eyes. Who would bury money under their porch? But as he continued to dig, he realized the scope of his discovery. In total, he unearthed $2,000 in old bills, a sum that, when adjusted for inflation, would be worth over $21,000 today. The money, dated to 1934, was a fascinating glimpse into the past. It was a time when the Great Depression was in full swing, and many Americans were struggling to make ends meet. But the discovery also raised many questions. Who had buried the money, and why? Was it the result of some illicit activity, or simply a case of extreme caution in uncertain times? The answers may never be known, but the mystery only adds to the allure of the find. The message from the past. When Matt Streetfield began renovating his home in Newcastle, Australia, he had no idea he was about to receive a message from the past. As he worked to remove a section of wall, he noticed something peculiar wedged between the studs, a bottle with a piece of paper tucked inside. Curious, Streetfield carefully extracted the bottle and uncorked it, revealing a message that had been hidden for nearly 50 years. The note, dated April 5, 1974, was written by a group of plasterers who had worked on the house's original construction. In it, they detailed their names and their pending weekly wage of $106, a sum that, while modest by today's standards, was a princely sum at the time. For Streetfield, the discovery was a fascinating glimpse into the past, a chance to connect with the people who had built his home, and to imagine what their lives must have been like. The unexpected arsenal. When William Whitman, a 70-year-old resident of St. Francis, Wisconsin, began remodeling his bathroom, he had no idea he was about to uncover a piece of military history. As he worked to remove a section of the wall, he noticed something peculiar, a long, cylindrical object that definitely wasn't a pipe. Upon closer inspection, Whitman realized he was holding a live 20-inch missile, dating back to the Korean War. The discovery was a shock, to say the least. Who expects to find a piece of heavy artillery in their bathroom? The bomb squad was quickly dispatched to the scene to safely handle the missile, which was no easy task given its age and volatility. But Whitman's discovery was far from unique. Across the border in Montreal, Canada, another homeowner had a similar experience while attempting to seal a crawl space. Instead of insulation or debris, they found an artillery shell, this one dating back to the First World War. The hidden stash. Robert Spann was a man of many secrets. A wealthy businessman living in Paradise Valley, Arizona, Spann had a habit of hiding his valuables in the most unexpected places throughout his sprawling mansion. When he passed away in 2001, his daughters knew they had a daunting task ahead of them, locating all of their father's hidden stashes. They spent years searching every nook and cranny of the house, uncovering cash, gold, and other treasures that Spann had squirreled away over the decades. But even they couldn't have imagined what would be discovered when the house was sold to a new owner in 2008. During a renovation project, a construction worker stumbled upon 4 ammunition cans tucked away in a hiding spot behind the kitchen wall. Inside the cans were $4,000 in cash, a stash that had remained hidden for years, just waiting to be discovered. But the story doesn't end there. As news of the discovery spread, a legal battle erupted over who had the rightful claim to the money. The construction worker who found it argued that he should be entitled to a share, while the new homeowners maintained that the cash was rightfully theirs. In the end, a court ruled that the money belonged to Robert Spann's estate and should be distributed among his heirs. The lost masterpiece. In the heart of Paris, a woman lived quietly in her apartment, surrounded by the trappings of a life well lived. Little did she know that her home hides a secret that would shock the art world and leave experts stunned. A long-lost masterpiece by the 13th century Italian artist, Cimabue. The painting, titled Christ Mocked, was in the woman's home for years, its true value hidden beneath layers of grime and the passage of time. It wasn't until 2019, when an auctioneer came to appraise the woman's belongings, that the stunning discovery was made. As experts examined the painting, they were struck by its remarkable condition and the unmistakable hand of Cimabue, one of the most influential artists of the early Italian Renaissance. The painting, depicting a scene from the Passion of Christ, was a rare and precious find, a window into a bygone era of artistic mastery. News of the discovery spread like wildfire, and the art world was abuzz with excitement. The painting was quickly whisked away to be properly restored and authenticated, and plans were made to put it up for auction. When the hammer finally fell, the painting sold for an astonishing $26.8 million, far exceeding its estimated value of $7.4 million. Tragically, the woman who had unknowingly lived with the masterpiece for so long passed away shortly after the sale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.